now joined by Jean-Pierre from Hong Kong, Emeritus Professor of Political Science at the Hong Kong Baptist University and has also worked at the French National Center for Scientific Research. So thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, my first question to you, 2 New York residents have been arrested for allegedly running these covert Chinese police stations. What's your take on the situation? And also, what would you say are the objectives of such operations?
Well, I think it's the first time that such operation has been conducted in the United States and even in the world. As you indicated in your previous comment, there's been a number of outposts, Chinese security outposts around the world, in particular where Chinese communities are rather large, like in Europe and in America. Now, we don't know much about the objective of these outposts. One is to, as has been claimed by the Chinese authority, to serve the Chinese community, to better protect it, at the same time to take control of it, or to better control this community and all the Chinese nationals who are living in particular countries. So it's really a new development because in the past, actually, people checking on Chinese communities were in the Chinese embassies themselves. So why do they need to set up such outposts outside of the embassies in order to, control and reach out the community around the world? And I think it's part of the new, the new state, which has been consolidated by Xi Jinping, which is aimed at controlling Chinese interests around the world, wherever they are.
Right, sir. Now, also from what we know so far, China, of course, as I mentioned earlier as well, claims that such offices are run by volunteers. And to be fair, the station did provide some Chinese government services like renewing documents, again, as I mentioned. But they did fail to register with the Justice Department as agents of a foreign government. Now, even if we were to entertain this plausibility, how do you assess the impact of this on US-based dissidents or in any other country for that matter?
Well, I think it's troubling because it means that the Chinese state or the party state is willing to more closely control its nationals overseas. I mean, there are a number of reasons for that. One is corruption, and the Fox Hunt operation, which has targeted runaway business people or corrupt officials. But of course, it's also aimed at better keeping in check any kind of dissenting voice from Chinese abroad, be they Han Chinese or national minority people like the Uyghur. We know that the Uyghur are also very much watched by the Chinese officials outside of China. So I think the idea is to, by the Chinese state, is to hire a number of local Chinese and who are going to be paid to serve the Chinese interests in the Chinese embassy around the world. So, but these people, because they hold the local nationality, they may be more, much more integrated in local communities, and they can better serve the interests of the Chinese state, and that's clearly part of the Communist Party's United Front strategy, which outside of China has a big department in China of overseas Chinese and overseas Chinese communities.
Right. Now, Professor, also what would you say could or should be done to hold Beijing accountable? What does this mean for China in the international community?
Yes, I think a number of countries have already dismantled those outposts, like the Netherlands, as you've mentioned. I know there are a few in France, in Germany, and elsewhere. I think it's what the FBI has been doing is a very kind of a standard operation, which I'm sure has been also conducted by other internal security services around the world, in particular in Western Europe.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast with all your insights on this.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.